Hey guys, Cake Wilson, Fáilte, chuig episode eile to Botún no Go. So welcome back to another episode of Botún no Go. It's even on my show. Ceapam Botún no Go agus Beidir in the feet on gaming. Sin the keenest far dumsa hun tafid. They're kind of the best ones for me to record and the ones I like the most. So, Manuel say seo, feice agus riomh. Anna simply gach episode gach fish on being ag fecins chuig botún come and tam frod mar mhúinteoir Ghaeilge. So every day is my full-time job. I teach people Irish one-on-one. That is the main thing I do. Patreon is kind of on the side. Hopefully that'll change in the future. But that's my main job, and I'm looking at obviously all the mistakes I just see all the time, and all the mistakes I think are easiest to amend are also easiest to commit, and why they're important as well. Okay, so with Botún no Go, guys, agus an rud céin le éiste ríis, ceapan tá sé tábhachtaí chun tosú leis an céad episode. So Manuel episode over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, feice agah, Beidir níos fearr an dul arás, agus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eáil, agus an sin is féidir leat fécins an gceanse. Well, it's féidir leat fécins an gceanse. An is má tá tú ag éirí ach ceapam níos fearr chun cín sin eáil. Maar, you know, I'm looking, obviously, with episode number 1, just looking at the mistakes I've written down here, the kind of 5 of the biggest ones straight away that jump to mind for me in terms of what I'd seen a week and what I see all the time. So as we go on through the episodes, the mistakes are probably getting a little bit more in terms of less used. Maybe, I wouldn't say slightly less important. Every mistake is just as important as any other one, really, at this level, when we're looking just at the top kind of 30 or 40 most common mistakes, which we're still on. But yeah, some really important ones there in the first 5, 10 or 15. So in other words, the first 2 or 3 episodes, which I would look at first, maybe. Okay. But 5 new ones today, 5 ones I still see all the time. 5 ones are really important. 5 ones that are fairly easy to fix. I'm going to show you how to fix them. Guys, agus Ibrahim on Coitianta and yo, Shane. It's kind of a tough one to explain. Basically, let's take an example sentence. You wanted me to do X, whatever. You wanted me to do the work, okay? And people trying to say in Irish the mistake is then V to a geary may whatever, and you'll find there won't be even a whatever because you'll get to the may and realize this doesn't make sense. Okay, in English it makes sense. You wanted me, and then we use the infinitive to do X, Y, or Z, but in Irish we can't do it. We can't say V to a geary may an ober a yenov. Doesn't make sense. We actually connect it with the go. Okay, so I know it's easy to make because you think, okay, you wanted me, V to a geary may, and then we'll continue on, but you've kind of drawn the line at the wrong part of the sentence. You need to draw the line after a geary, V to a geary, and then we can continue on with a different form. So what we're going to do, always going to remember a geary is wanting, and then if we think about it in English, that's going to make it a bit easier. You were wanting, and then we're going to connect it with a that. In other words, go. Okay, so you wanted me to do the work, V to a geary, gonyen hime on ober. You were wanting that I will do the work. I wanted you to help her. Vi me giri go ga roi to lehi. In other words, I was wanting that you will help her. Okay, you'll notice it's always really the future tense of the verb. That's because if you think about it, if you want someone to do something, that means they haven't. No worries. That means they haven't done it yet. Okay, so it's therefore a future thought. There'll be very few cases, effectively none really I can think of, where you'd use the present or the past here. So our kind of formula is going to be firstly obviously just Tom Agiri, Toshi Agiri, by Muds Agiri, whatever it is, whatever person, whatever tense, then the go, and then the future tense of the verb and the pronoun that it's aimed at. So if it's you wanted me to work all day, V to Agiri, gunai brohime on law erfad. Okay, V to Agiri, gunai brohime on law erfad. So we're not going to use the pronoun straight after Agiri. Anwa, iver though, guys, shin bull me. Other examples would be shul me, tog me, anything like that. So what's incorrect here? No H. Yes, no H, and you'd be surprised how often this comes up. Now, I'm not going to be that guy of going, oh, you need to put the H in. It's very important. I suppose it is in some cases. But, you know, not every H's are equal. If you forget a H in Tish, you're going to who cares? Do you know what I mean? It's not a big deal, especially if it's on a letter like a C or G where you're barely going to hear the pronunciation difference. But if it's something more simple, like just direct past tense, simple past tense, with something like bull or shul, then it is important, guys. Okay, so just going back to kind of, how do we form the past tense? All we do for the regulars is get our root, put a H on. Okay, if it starts with a vowel or an F, we put the D apostrophe and the H as well. But if it's just a normal kind of consonant, we just add the H. Okay, so therefore, by definition, we actually never really use the root a lot by itself. Okay, so if you take a root like bool for meet or hit, the only time I'm ever using the root is the imperative. I'll do a video on the imperative at some point. That's basically when I'm commanding you to do something. So if I said, hit the table, I'd say to you, bool, okay? Hit the table. That's the only time I'd really use the root by itself in its unmodified form. Because the past tense, I'm on an H. Present tense, I'm on a A-N-N, or E-A-N-N in this case. And then the he for the future. Say for Mokneelik, for Sivrig Rower, is just putting something at the end, or in the case of the past tense, putting something at the start with the H. So, therefore, most of the times in Irish, unless you're using the imperative, the command tense basically, you're never going to use the root by itself. So, it's probably going to be wrong. There are a few exceptions. I'll talk about that in a minute, but it's just about remembering these ones. Essentially, long story short, don't forget to put the H in for past tense. So, Vúil me, for I met, Vúil me, I hit, and then Vúil me le, for I met. Huil me, I walked. Hóg me, I took. Any of those. The few times where you actually will just use the root in the past tense is ones that just don't take a H. So like rit me is a good example. Okay, ones beginning with R. With L, lower me would be the same. I spoke. Lay me, I read. So there are a few examples. Those begin with like R, L. The weird letters basically that don't take anything, but we kind of make it simple. That's often why if you ever see me doing a topic breakdown or made easy video or kind of trying to break down a big complicated subject, I'll always take, this is a good tip for if you ever explaining to someone else how to do something, always take a verb, basically simple regular verb like ri or lay that can't take a shevu or an because that's going to make it much more easier to show the kind of rule you're trying to show. So little tip for you there if you're teaching anyone else. If three guys sin row for too many or too much. Okay, so row does mean two when it's on an adjective. So too good, rowa. Okay, too late, row yenach. Okay, anything like that. Okay. And then when people get to too many or too much, again, it's kind of this thing of drawing the line at the wrong points. They just kind of focus on two and draw the line after that. And they say row. And then they realize, they've backed themselves into a corner, or they're basically taking a next step on the map and they don't know what the next step is because there is no next step. You can't get it correct from there. Basically, you've already gone wrong. It's like doing a maths equation. If the first bit's wrong, you have no chance of getting the second, third, or fourth. Right. So essentially, what we're going to use for too many or too much is a numerica. Guys, a numerica. That can be used on its own, runame a numerica, or connected to a noun. Okay, tá numerica daoine an seo. There are too many people here. For some reason, guys, again, as an Irish teacher, there's 4 or 5 terms or words that people just always seem to have a massively hard time remembering. It doesn't matter how many times we go through it. Maybe I don't teach them well enough, who knows. But a numeric is one of them. It's just people, I could tell them 4 or 5 times compared to another word, like an adjective like clishta, for example, for smart. They'd know it like that once I tell them. A numeric, people just never seem to kind of remember, even though it's very important. Obviously, too much or too many we're using all the time. So just remember that. In other words, I suppose if you want to think about it linguistically, the difference in English, is the same of the too or row is used before an adjective, row wa, too good, but then too many or too much is always going to be before a noun. Okay, too many problems, again, problems, that's a noun. Too many people is a noun. Too much work is a noun. Okay, so the good thing is, unlike in English where you have to define them in between too many and too much, they're both the same. As Ghaeilge, a numerica. Okay, a numerica ober, too much work, a numerica faibana, too many problems. If we're caher, guys, sin tahan le, and the mistake here is more so hahan me on Kjolkurm for I liked the concert. Hahan me on Kjolkurm for I liked the concert. I was really surprised when I looked through all the first button of those on my list here that I hadn't covered this, guys, because this is a really common one. So, happen me on Kjolkurm. I liked the concert. What's the mistake here? It should be hatten on Kjolkurm lum. So, essentially, guys, and I talked about this in the topic breakdown a few weeks ago, that with like In Irish, the first thing you learn is matlam. So it's matlam, I like it. But then, what can we do in the future, the past, and the conditional? Well, the conditional, we're going to go boatlam, I would like. Future, we don't have any form of is, so let's park that to the side for a minute. And then the past tense, it's boatlam, but ask Ghaeilge again to differentiate, in this case, in between the boatlam of the conditional and the boatlam of the past. We just don't really use boatlam for I liked. Okay, that's specifically for like. Normally, for other stuff, you know, such as just is mhúinteoir, we can just say for he was a teacher, mhúinteoir. But specifically for the verbs like, we're just going to use boatlam, the both form, for the conditional. So we've got past and future. How do we communicate I liked and I will like? What we're going to need is tahan. But tahan doesn't work as simply as hahan may I liked, because tahan doesn't mean to like. Tahan, closest thing you get to in English is appeal. Appeal. Okay, so again, what do I mean by that? In English, if you think about it as I like the Fanta, I can say I like the Fanta, who's doing the action? I'm doing the action. Or I can say the Fanta appeals to me. Who's doing the action there? It's the Fanta. So tahan is like appeal. Therefore, if I say, let's do it past because that's where we really need it most. I liked the Fanta. I'm not going to say hahan me on Fanta. I'm essentially saying the Fanta appeals to me. So the Fanta appeals. Hahan on Fanta. And then it's with me. Lum. Hahan on Fanta lum. Tatnoi on Fanta lum. I will like the Fanta. Okay, so remembering, essentially, long story short, when you're using tahan, it's the thing we like, or the thing whoever likes, doing the action. It's not us. Okay, and then we're getting a connection with the le at the end. And if we're saying I like dish, for example, just hahan shalom. Okay, it's it appeals with me, or it shone with me, because tahan really can also be used as to shine. So you can think about it, either of those two, appeal or shine. But don't be using tahni and may. Unless, of course, this is a combination where like tahni and may or hahan may would make sense if someone else likes you. Do you know what I mean? But you probably wouldn't use it in that form. Often you'd change it to something else. But it still would make sense, you know. The group liked me. Hahan may let an grúpa. But often you just find a different way of saying it. Okay, an ceann tearnach, guys. Iver chuig inyo sin an grúpa gorau goma. An grúpa gorau goma, or it could be gajas, whatever. An grúpa gorau goma. So, cadatá mi ceart an seo. An go. Okay, so bíonn landini trína céile faoi seo, guys. A lot of people do be kind of confused about this. Go, they always think is dash, and go does mean dash is the connector word, but that is the connector word. Can go down two avenues when we translate it. It can be go, or it can be a. Okay, so firstly, what's the correct thing for the group were good? It should be an grúpa a bhí goma. An grúpa a bhí goma. Why? Well, essentially, when we've dash as a connector word, as we said, it can be go or a. And what the dictating factor is going to be is if the word before in the English sentence is a noun or a verb. So in other words, is the dash referring to a noun or a verb before? So this one's a fairly simple one. The group dash were good. Again, I'm looking at the group dash. What's before it? It's a noun. We're talking about the group here. So therefore, I'm going to use a. An grúpa a. And then we don't need to use the rá in the will form. We can use normal conjugation. A group, an grúpa, go leiscail a bhí goma. Okay? The person that is sick, an duine atá sin. What else have we got if we do one with future tense? Oh, we do it without the verb to be. The man that will go to the concert, an fear a rachi gudí an cheolgurm. An fear a rachi gudí an cheolgurm. Okay, so again, it's the man that, or in English, I suppose, often you'd say the man who goes to the concert. So just think about this dash, it's easier. But those who will come back to a as well. So we're going to use a. Compared to go, go is almost always used after the same stuff over and over again. Guys, often after cap or shield for to think. So in other words, cap me gorau tu imiha. I thought that you were gone. Again, I thought that. So it's referring to the thought. It's a verb, so therefore it's go. Okay, I thought that you were gone. Tásúlagam as well. So for hope. So tásúlagam gomai gachrod cearcalor. I hope that everything will be okay. Okay. Important thing here, guys, in English, that is optional with a lot of these sentences. For example, well, especially with the go ones. So I thought that he was gone is the same as I thought he was gone. In English, that is kind of optional. As Ghaeilge, we have to use it. Okay. Caithimid an go úsáid ní léinn sais rawa agin an sin. Okay, so I might make a longer video on the go and at some point, but that's just important. Remembering the kind of difference between two, and remembering it's all about what's the word before in the English sentence. Okay, so difference between go and a. So I always say with a, it's like the identifying a or the identifying a, in the sense it's telling us more about what's before. You know, the man that will go to the concert. So it's the man. What man? Tell me more about the man. Okay, it's the man that will go to the concert. On dinner a bhí chin, the person that was sick. So it's the person. There's a lot of people out there kind of nail it down. It's the person that was sick. Okay, so you're telling me more about the person, more about the thing. You know, it doesn't have to be a person. It could be on phone atá brista, the phone that is broken. Okay, so tásúlagam gúil cí leis na cín sin. Guys, Arish, V to Igiri may, no, V to Igiri go, and then the verb in future tense. So, Ganyen he may on ober, shin, Ibrahim, Bul may, Shul may, Tog may, Arish, Vul may, Hul may, Hog may, Lash on H, San I'm sure Kotson, EU Sajin Muj on root in a Ainer, Gominnic. So, Ghaeilge, Egusaj row, lie too many or too much. Nil Kilesh, Kaimaj, a numberka, a raw, a numberka dini, too many people, or just too much. You know, Riname, a numberka, I did too much. Iver Cahar, Hahan me, as Nil Kila Shin really Kaisheva, Hahan Rodegan Lum. I liked something, so something appealed to me on Rod a Fain, Ig Janu on Ganiv, the thing itself doing the action. Agus on Kyanzernik on Grupa Gorau on Shin, Marampla on Grupa a V on Shin. It's a instead of go because the dash is referring to a now. So, Tasulagam na Croatian roll happy, guys. I hope that wasn't too fast, but I always like to do them relatively fast, work through it for the kind of more advanced learners. Then the people who are maybe struggling a bit more and need to hear it twice can go back and watch it again. Obviously, the joys of technology. Sinead, guys, ein cestana curbe, ein trachtorchty curbe. Any questions, any comments? Be jagwalum, he's the trachtorchty, no is fager lat. Trachtorcht occur wigum, Patreon, no an refust, liam.learnirishonline@gmail.com. Okay, mila buchas, guys, but I'm Jarash lepsodella de Botún na go ig Jan ga seachtan, trí seachtan, agus tasúlagam gúil sibh ig buint tatnamh as an sra. Mila buchas, guys, slán go full.